I do. I'm Carol. Carol Channing? Yeah. And I want you to know that I am thrilled to know, well, the Feast of Fun, they're my favorite people. Yes, sir. And I'm happy to be with them again, and I'm happy to, you must listen to Mark and Fausto. They sure know how to ask penetrating questions.
For over 7 decades, Carol Channing has delighted audiences with her bubbly personality and unique voice to become one of the most beloved entertainers of all time.
In 1949, the musical Gentlemen Prefer Blondes opened on Broadway, featuring Carol Channing as Lorelei, the role that would shape her career for the rest of her life.
Who can forget Jazz Baby, her Oscar-nominated performance as Muzzy Van Hosmeer in the film Thoroughly Modern Millie, or her role as Dolly Levi in the stage version of Hello, Dolly.
Today, we're delighted to talk to Carol Channing about her upcoming performance at Help Is on the Way, Northern California's largest annual AIDS benefit concert in San Francisco.
Listen as we chat with Carol about fighting for arts education in public schools through her charity.
Why everyone loves to imitate her, especially drag queens.
The origins of the Carol Channing Ventriloquist doll.
And which president had her on his enemies list.
Plus questions from you, the listeners, and even one from Tony Award-winning playwright Terence McNally. I'm Fausto Fernos.
I'm Mark Fillion.
And this is Feast of Fun. Today's show is brought to you by generous support of fabulous listeners like you.
We really can't do the show without your support, so please visit our website, feastoffun.com, and make a donation. Buy a t-shirt.
Your financial support makes all the difference. Thank you. Hi, is this Carol Channing?
It's me, Carol Channing.
Hi, Carol. It's Fausto Fernos.
And Mark Fillion from Feast of Fun. How are you today?
Mark and Fausto. That's Italian for Faust.
That's correct. It's also Spanish for Fausto.
Really? Oh, that's a great name.
Thank you, Carol. We are so excited to be talking with you.
Oh, thank you.
So you are going to be back on stage to perform in Help Is on the Way, Northern California's largest annual AIDS benefit concert in August in San Francisco. Are you excited?
Yes, I am. I really am. And I believe Rich Little's going to be with me. Harry's just left. Is Rich Little going to be on with me?
I didn't see him on the program.
Oh, you didn't? Well, then it's the wrong show. Okay, I get everything wrong.
Bruce Valanche is going to be there?
Oh, Bruce Valanche. Oh, gee, he's a good man. He's the funniest writer.
Absolutely is. You were working on Broadway at the height of the AIDS crisis, so this benefit concert must be very important to you, very personal, since you probably saw so many talented men die.
Oh, yes. Well, you see, it wiped out those marvelous dancers. They were the greatest. And, in fact, Gower Champion paid them salaries before we opened to keep them, to keep Agnes DeMille from getting any of them.
I can imagine it must have been extremely difficult emotionally and professionally.
Yes, it was, because all the boys were wiped out. They're all gone. Every one of our fabulous dance chorus. Also, Jerry Herman suddenly came down with AIDS.
What was going on through your mind at the time to have lost so many talented, wonderful men?
Oh, I'm grateful to them. That's all I know. Wherever they are, I don't know. But boy, I'm grateful to them. They should be loved.
They are loved, and they love you. You are considered the first lady of Broadway musicals.
Oh, really? Did you know that in San Francisco, when I first came there with Lorelei, Gentlemen Prefer Blondes.
Yes.
When I came there with blondes, there wasn't a blonde wig left in San Francisco, I understand.
All the drag queens were imitating you?
Oh, everybody came dressed as me. And they were fabulous looking. They were wonderful. But during that run in San Francisco, one grand lady sat there in the box down on the main floor. There is a box in the Current Theater right on the main floor. There she was, and she had a whole dress of diamonds. It was just... Well, anyway, they made me their queen. Now, there's an empress in San Francisco, and there's a queen. The empress, they explained to me, is only for 3 years. And he was already 6 feet tall with no shoes. So he had high heels, and he had long blonde hair, and Tallulah Bankhead, he was the empress, and I was the queen, and it's for life. They said, do you realize you're for life? But this new generation doesn't know that.
So you're the queen of San Francisco.
So you're officially the queen of San Francisco, coming back to reclaim her throne.
Yes, and so the empress did a performance that Tallulah Bankhead couldn't be better. She absolutely said, I'm walking over the Golden Gate Bridge, and I'm going to drown myself because it's the end of my reign. And she carried on and went on and on. Oh, she was marvelous. I mean, Judith Anderson couldn't have done it better.
We've got some questions from the listeners and a special celebrity.
The first one comes from an old friend of yours and a friend of mine, Terence McNally, the playwright, another Broadway legend. He wants to know, Carol, what about Sand, a Kander Ebb musical that she interviewed me for writing the book for? It never happened, and the world didn't get to see her wicked Marlene Dietrich imitation. Also, I want to know about her weekends at the Pines on Fire Island when she was in Dolly. She was legendary.
Oh, this is Terence McNally, the great?
The great Terence McNally.
Yeah, okay. Oh, and he saw the Marlene Dietrich?
He sure did.
Poor Marlene, because I thought it was just, I mean, you can't do, what I know is at one time there were 7 boys doing me in Las Vegas, and I was proud as I could be. And
doing you in what sense?
In Las Vegas, they just did me, singing Little Rock or Diamonds or
imitated you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. I thought there was another sense of the word.
Shut up.
No,
so,
but gee, that's an honor that Terence McNally thought so much of that. That's wonderful. But anyway, I was very proud, and I had 7. Usually it's only 2 or 3, but this time it was 7. And that made me very happy. I don't know why there are so many that do me, but you have to love the person you're doing. Otherwise, it doesn't come out accurately.
Well, I guess Terence also wants to know how you felt about doing Dolly at the Pines on Fire Island, because you would do that every weekend.
Fire Island Pine.
Yeah, that's probably going back a bit, I would imagine.
Yeah, we're talking 1970s here, 1960s.
Oh yes, Jerry Herman had a place there, and Jerry is doing well. He really is. He got the prize for La Cage aux Folles in New York this last Tony Award.
Oh, wonderful.
Terry Andrews wants to know, what are your thoughts on the state of musical theater and Broadway today?
I haven't been there. I've been touring myself, trying to get arts. Hello.
Yes.
Trying to get arts back into public schools. And I've been busy going to public schools, giving money to Cal State University, my own money, and Harry's given his money, and we've got to get arts back into schools. And Jerry Herman's going to help us, and lots of wonderful people. Carol Cook,
Yeah, she's coming on our show this week.
Oh, is she on the show this week?
Well, yeah, technically this is airing in August, but as we're actually having her on right after you.
Oh, God. I know you love her dearly.
Of course.
Absolutely.
So do I.
Well, Carol, how do you...
I did a show with Carol Cook in Sacramento, and Joanne Worley, and they were wonderful.
Carol!
Yeah, that's the one. And I'm proud of it. We did it in Sacramento to get money for our foundation to get arts back into public schools. If we don't do that, It's the fall of the Holy Roman Empire.
Well, Carol, how do you argue for arts education in some schools where they hardly have any money for books, let alone art supplies or tutus?
Why does something beep on the phone just as you're saying?
It's your call waiting.
All right, just a minute.
Okay.
Well, just a minute, Harry. Would you answer? Just a minute. I couldn't hear my phone beeps.
Well, yeah, I can. The main reason, I think you asked the question, how are you doing it, or why?
Well, I'll repeat it for you. How do you argue for arts education in some schools where they hardly have any money for books, let alone art supplies or tutus?
That's our whole theme. We're going back to New York next week, and we're going to be spreading the word that we've got a national campaign being born, and we're getting directors and producers to do a telethon next year in September. We also have a bill in Congress by Jackie Spear of San Mateo County to bring it's an arts resolution, arts in education.
She's a congresswoman. Yeah.
So, Carol, you as a young woman and throughout your life, obviously you've been very deeply affected by the arts. What do you think is the impact of schools cutting their arts programs?
Oh, you know something? They graduate from high school now, and they say, "What's a concert?" They never heard of a musical concert.
They never heard of Lady Gaga?
No, they never. It's just unbelievable. But see, what people don't realize is the arts open you up to all the other things. People keep saying, well, the President of the United States is saying, we've got to get more, we have to get mathematicians and scientists and all that kind of thing. They have to get all that. And then, doggone it, wait a minute, I'm lost.
Well,
what is the real impact of arts education?
What you're trying to say is arts are really the catalyst to life. It's the soul of every human being that walks on this earth. I've been in 2 wars, World War II, and I wasn't in Korea, but I was doing the Korean War. I was sent to Europe. But the thing that is missing in this country today is respect for one another. And I learned that traveling in the various nations that I lived in during the wars. And I can say that without any equivocation. Being with Carol, she's an artist, and learning and seeing artists. That's not my forte. But I've learned, and I've become a very serious part of trying to bring arts back, because without the arts, we're going to fail as a nation. And I'm not saying that lightly, because it's true. President Obama just said recently there are 1,200 kids falling out of school every year. And you multiply that by 30 years. And, of course, this goes back. It just didn't happen. This has been going on for 10, 20 years. You got 45 million kids who are going to be illiterate and absolutely doing the wrong things that they can get into today as they are.
And they drop out of school.
And they don't have the arts. They don't have any.
They drop out from sheer boredom.
They don't have any creation.
See, the arts stimulates.
Okay, I'll support you. Okay.
Where do we donate? Well, I think what you're trying to say is art education.
Let me say this. There's a bill in the legislature of California right now by an assemblyman who wants to reduce further, take more money away from the arts, which will leave most of our kids without any arts at all. She's given 14 scholarships, 15 scholarships in the state of California, lecturing, teaching, appearing, doing everything she can for the last 4.5 years. And now we're going to go to New York, and we're going to do something that no one else has ever tried to do, and that is to do this on a national basis. And I'll tell you, I think with all the people that we have that support it and believe in it, and we're assembling that kind of personnel, we're going to do it.
You, Mark, and Fausto are just the boys to help us with it.
Oh, well.
Carol, I have to say, if any legislation, any politician is standing face to face with you and you ask him for anything, it's impossible to say no to you.
Well, Carol's the one, of course.
Hence why Harry, you guys got married.
Yeah, and really, basically, that's what molded us when we were little kids. I was 13 years old, she's 12 years old, and it was the arts. My father came from Turkey, escaping the genocide there that was going on, apparently. It's not my time, but in any case, her family was one of the more prominent families in the city of San Francisco, and they exposed me to all the great writers and literature and theater and the symphonies, and oh my gosh, it goes on and on. How blessed can we be when we're in San Francisco? Because it's the center of the arts. It's where creativity begins.
It's a metropolitan art colony. That's what it was, and it still is.
So we have a lot of questions for Carol from our listeners. Jason Steele wants to know, Carol, what do you think about Johnny Depp, the actor, wanting to portray you in the movie of your life?
Isn't that an honor? That is an honor. And, I didn't know how to thank him, so I just sent him a very prosaic letter. But I think that's what does he see that he wants to play?
I think everybody enjoys imitating you, and I want to know, because all great legends aren't necessarily born, they're also born out of the fires of experience. How did the Carol Channing, the public persona, the woman that you are today, how did your voice come to be?
Now, I have absolutely no idea what I'm like. And when I see it, no, most performers don't. I have found if you're not absolutely dead on honest with an audience, what you're like, to the point where you don't have no idea what you're like.
But do you understand that so many people love you, and you have such a unique way of talking that it is so many drag queens and performers, Misunderstood, Pandora Box, Lady Bunny, they all are influenced by you.
Isn't that wonderful? I mean, they love me, and I'm very... Gee, if somebody loves you, that's not to be laughed at.
No, it isn't.
No.
Misunderstood wants to know, I was delighted to find the Carol Channing Ventriloquist doll on the JCPenney website several years ago. Without even thinking twice, I purchased one. How did this fabulous doll come to be?
How do you what?
There was a ventriloquist dummy of you that was sold by JCPenney.
The Carol Channing ventriloquist doll.
It was a little doll.
Oh, the doll, and he's a ventriloquist? I haven't seen him.
Wow. It was a little... well, if you go to JCPenney's website, you can see that they have all sorts of ventriloquist little doll dummies or dolls, and then they don't have any other celebrities, and they have you. And it's become kind of like a viral hit. All these people have bought Carol Channing dolls and do YouTube videos of themselves imitating you.
Oh, gee, that is an honor.
I mean, it's pretty remarkable.
They don't want to turn into you unless they want to be you, the way I used to do Marlene Dietrich.
Can you give us a little Marlene Dietrich for us?
Oh, gee, it isn't just in the voice. It's mostly in her body, in her sex appeal, in her persona as a personality. But I can try in the voice. They play her music, and she says... I know. The audience applauds as I come out from Marlene Dietrich.
Okay. Yay!
Yeah. And then, no, don't bother. Too little and too late.
She had quite the eyes, didn't she, Marlene Dietrich? She could say a lot with a simple expression.
Oh, I loved her. I was crazy about her. And she took it as a terrible comment on her. And she said, all she said is, she was playing in the Desert Inn at the same time I was at the Tropicana doing her. And she came to see it with Lucy and Desi. And I said, and now the great lady is here in the audience, and we rehearsed the light man to put the spotlight on her chair, and it was an empty chair she had left. And so I grabbed the head waiter. He said, I don't know, she must have gone down the laundry chute. She didn't go out the door. she hated it, and she says they don't want great artists anymore in Las Vegas. Only this cheap clop-trop like Carol Channing. And I thought, oh, Marlena, don't you know nobody wants to imitate you unless they love you?
Wow, so you got into trouble because you were imitating Marlene Dietrich with Marlene Dietrich.
Yeah. There was but her daughter knew I was crazy about her.
Let's talk about Hello Dolly. Jim Bennett wants to know, in Hello Dolly, are you really eating all those potato puffs in the restaurant scene?
Oh, yes. Well, what I'm eating is Kleenex, and I gather it in my cheeks. It's what the crew told me how they make it. They put it on an electric light bulb, a piece of Kleenex, and it gets brown like pomfret. And it gets all brown and roasty looking, and I put it in my mouth. But when I go, the coroner is going to find there's a lot of collected Kleenex in my pancreas. I just know it. I'm just walking around with all that Kleenex in me.
I'm sure it's just fiber. It'll be good for you.
You actually were swallowing all that Kleenex on stage?
And shoving it into her gums.
Yeah, I guess so. Okay, Robert Perlin. Carol, I saw you last time you toured with Hello Dolly. It was the most thrilling theatrical experience of my life. Any chance you'll ever do Dolly again?
Oh, well, I'm so busy getting arts back into public schools. I do Dolly. I do anything they want.
Hey, will you show up at a public school dressed up as Dolly, Levi?
Sure.
Okay, we're going to hold you to that.
Speaking of outfits, though, Kyle has a question about your wonderful silver beaded fringe dress that you wore in Lorelei, which is now in the Smithsonian, along with your Tony for a Lifetime Achievement. He wants to know, what was it like to have Bob Mackie make costumes for you for years?
Well, he has a Jenny, they call it, and he has my body from the neck down.
Like a mannequin.
And he has it of all his customers. And he had, darling little, Cher. He had Cher next to me. I mean, her dummy and my dummy. And I went up and looked at everybody's dummy. So I moved myself over to Ella Fitzgerald, and I looked very trim and slim.
Because I guess in his workshop, he has all the celebrities' torsos that he makes the costumes for.
Chinese, yeah.
That's interesting.
Celebrities? Oh, yes. Oh, they're all there. We all meet there. Carol Burnett, everybody.
What did the process go like for having Bob Mackie design an outfit for you? What did you guys meet and look at sketches, or did he just like show up with fabulous outfits?
No, he shows up with sketches. And he gave me sketches, and it was just one after another, sketches, and they were all fabulous. The Diamonds dresses, that's his greatest. He and Ray Agayan, they're partners on making gowns and things. And Ray executes what he wants, and boy, they're a good team. And he sits on that bench. They sat on a bench out. I was their second customer. I don't know who the first was, but I was the second. And they sat on a bench at the beach at the end of Sunset Boulevard, and they looked out at the ocean and prayed. And it came over that Bob said, we said, dear God, dear Lord. And they talked to him what would be the right Diamonds dress. And it came to them. And they gave me the Pope's. What is that hat that's a cone shape? I mean, it goes.
The Pope's hat.
A what?
The Pope's hat.
The Pope's hat. They gave me a silver Pope's hat with a diamond on top of it, and they gave me a Diamonds dress with long sleeves that went right down to the floor, just skimmed my body. All diamonds. They went to Czechoslovakia to get the diamonds they wanted, and they got it. Oh, well, anyway, that's what's in the Smithsonian right now.
Because you've been in entertainment for so long, there's a lot of rumors and legends about you, Carol Channing. What do you think are some of the biggest lies, misconceptions, tall stories about you?
They're all true.
All of them?
Yeah, I think they're all true. I never heard one that wasn't.
Here's a question from Matt Antaya. Miss Channing, please clear up once and for all the rumors around you being homophobic. I know that you are a die-hard supporter of gay rights, and I never believed the news reports back in 2006 that misquoted you as a Bible-thumping gay hater. What's the deal?
Who did that? How could they? I was raised on the Bible. I was raised with homophobic. Does that mean you don't like gays?
Yeah, and I think that you obviously love gay people.
They get it the way they did with Bette Midler. They put me over in. They would go up in the mezzanine, and you know what they did on opening nights. They didn't. I asked them, "Do you have a yell leader or something up there?" Because what they do, they stop the moment they should, because it would irritate the critics if they thought I had a clack, and they sounded like a clack if they kept it up too long. So they had somebody signal stop, so they didn't hurt me. They didn't want to hurt me. This is the most. If you can get that group of people who are that artistic, who know that much about show business and costumes and wigs and everything else, if you can get them to care for you that much that they don't want to be obtrusive to the critics, because the critics get mad at that when people carry on too much.
Well, you've been a diehard supporter of gay rights, and obviously your record speaks loudly for you. Even so, the fact that even it might have cost you politically, there's rumors saying that President Ronald Reagan, had you on his enemies list. Is that true?
No, Ronald Reagan's too smart for that. That's ridiculous. No, I was on the enemies list of the guy that Nixon, Richard Nixon.
Richard Nixon had you on his enemies list. What for?
And who's the great baseball player that he didn't even know who the president was?
Joe DiMaggio?
No, he's smart. No, this one is, I forget. I'm not into baseball.
Well, why did Nixon have you on his enemy list? Because you were a creative type? You were too liberal?
And I was so proud of it.
So you are proud of being a liberal and being hated by Richard Nixon. Did that ever cost you anything career-wise?
No, never. No, too many people. See, the poor man, he was ousted out of office. So he, to be an enemy of Nixon was very popular.
Well, I guess that's a badge of honor.
So you came out with a gospel album, getting in touch with your roots, for heaven's sake.
Yes.
And John Q. Sanchez wants to know, will you please record a cover of Rehab by Amy Winehouse in the future? Because it worked well. Actually, Mae West has a tradition. A lot of divas, they put out a record of covers, and I think Amy Winehouse would work well with you. Are you familiar with her work?
Mae West?
No,
Amy Winehouse.
That would be funny. Decadence. Oh, let's try that.
Well, what is your gospel album? It's songs that you grew up singing.
Oh, he got the whole world in his hands. He got the whole wide world. Oh, and I sang it on one of those 6 television specials with the whole United States. Who are they? The people in Colorado. Air Force.
Wow.
The United States Air Force Academy. Thank you. Yes. The United States Air Force Academy. And boy, they were good. And we sang together all during lunch, all during dinner, everything. They were marvelous. I grew up singing gospel songs with my father, so I just finished an album of those.
For heaven's sake.
For heaven's sake.
Well, I think it sounds fantastic, and we're going to play one at the end, one song from your album. What's your favorite song from that album?
What's on it is, wait a minute, St. James Infirmary's on that album.
Okay, so we'll play that at the end. Carol, I want to thank you so much for taking time to talk to us on today's show. It's been a real honor.
I think I'm home when I talk to you. I really do. Because you see, you don't all know you're so young that I'm your queen.
I believe me, I know full well. Can you do us a favor? Can you say, "Hi, I'm Carol Channing. When I'm not busy being the queen of Broadway, I like to listen to Feast of Fun, my favorite podcast."
I do. I'm Carol. Carol Channing? Yeah. And I want you to know that I am thrilled to know, well, the Feast of Fun they're my favorite people. Yes, sir. And I'm happy to be with them again, and I'm happy to, you must listen to Mark and Fausto. They sure know how to ask penetrating questions.
Woo! Thank you, Carol.
Thank you so much, and best of luck with your performance coming up in San Francisco.
Oh, thank you. I want to do a good one for you.
And supporting the arts, because when kids get an arts education, they have healthy brains, and that's the key, right?
You're so right. Mm-hmm. Physically, doctors will tell you that. It's fertilizer on the brain. It is.
Well, you know what they say about fertilizer. You got to spread it around if it's going to do any good, right?
You got to spread it around. Of course you do. Okay, that's us, fertilizer.
Carol, thank you so much for talking to us. I will send you lots of hugs and kisses from Chicago, Illinois.
Oh, thank you. I really enjoyed this. Thank you. Mm-hmm. Bye-bye, dears.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Carol Channing lives in Modesto, California. You can learn more about her Foundation for the Arts at channingarts.org. And she's going to be performing at Help Is On The Way, Northern California's largest annual AIDS benefit concert in San Francisco.
It's on August 15th at the Herbst Theater, and you can see her perform along with Bruce Valanche, Carol Cook, and lots of fabulous other people.
I'm sorry that we didn't get to ask her about raspberries.
What do you need to know?
You don't need to know anything about it.
Just raspberries is good enough.
I know. So we're going to play. Here's the clip.
Raspberries!
And Carol Channing will live forever in our hearts. And every time you eat a raspberry tart, you'll think of her.
You sure will. I want to remind people, too, to follow us on Facebook. It's facebook.com/feastoffun. And on Twitter, twitter.com/feastoffun.
And follow our videos on YouTube, youtube.com/feastoffun. We're going to leave you here with a song Carol Channing wanted us to play for you, St. James Infirmary from For Heaven's Sake, her album of gospel music, available on our website, feastoffun.com.
And I want to remind the listener, too, that we can't do the show without your support, so please visit feastoffun.com/iPhone and make a contribution to our ongoing website development costs. I was kind of surprised that she wasn't familiar with the ventriloquist doll. It's such a campy little thing.
Well, maybe she's kind of like one of those celebrities that licenses her name to so many products that you can't keep track of it. Like the Carol Channing mouthwash and toothpaste doesn't sell as well. Well, that's all, folks. I'm Fausto Fernos.
I'm Mark Fillion.
Bye, everyone.
Went down St. James Infirmary, found my baby there, stretched out on a long white table, so sweet, so cold, so bare. Went up to see the doctor. She very low, he said. Went down to see my baby. Good God, she was lying there dead. Oh, let her go, God bless her.